Hello guys, hello one backpackers. Today we want to share our experience after using the Aliexpress 3F UL ultralight 2% tents for 100 days. Well, anyway, we want to show you how the state of the tent, and we also want to share some of our thoughts and experience of what we like and what we don't like about the tent. And hopefully this can be useful for you to decide whether to get this really ultralight tent. Well, let's check it out. So on the outside it still looks very good. The yellow waterproof pouch is still okay. There's no hole in it, so it's a good start. Let's check it out. Open it, and we can get this pouch containing the ground nails, and I still have all the ground nails. Luckily there are 9 of them. We didn't miss any of them. One thing that I want to note is that some of the ground nails are a little bit bent like that, and that was actually due to my own fault because I was forcing the nail into the ground even though it's already like encountering maybe a rock or stone inside the ground. But at least it's still, yeah, it's not broken yet and I can still use it, no problem. And it's a good thing there's one spare actually, so even though one breaks, then I can, yeah, I will still be able to put up my tent. And even if more breaks, then this is just ground nail and you can easily buy a replacement in a outdoor shop or wherever. So that's about the ground nails, still very good. And now let's look at the tent itself. On the outside still looks very good, no problem, no damage. Over there, well, we've used this for 100 days as we've told you, and we've used this in the Alps, in Germany, in Norway, in Iceland, in Finland, Estonia, and also Lithuania. And this has accompanied us throughout this journey, and we managed to sleep nicely in all those nights. So let's just check it out a bit further. On the ropes on the corner are still okay, everything still looks good. No damage. It looks nice. And one thing that I want to point out is that actually we lost one of the corner elastic rope like this, and as a replacement we just replace it with the normal rope. But then in the end we have sort of like a elastic band. This is actually for girls' hair, but this will do. So we can use it to strap this corner. But other than that, it still looks good. Okay, now let's put it up. So guys, I've used this tent for 100 nights and it still looks in good condition. So let's just check it out. Well, if you look at the outer tent, there's not really any obvious sign of wear and tear. Like all the stitches are still okay, the seam seals are still okay. There's no hole on the tent as well. Just look. All the stitches are still okay over there in the corner, while this one is actually bearing the most load because if there's any wind, then this part is really shaking a lot over there. But everywhere else it still looks good as well. The same as well in this corner. Even though after 100 days of abuse, there's no hole whatsoever. Also on the top of the tent, it's still in tip-top condition. Also on this part, because this part is also bearing quite a lot of stress, because this is where the tent pole is sitting. So when this tent is shaking, then there's really quite some force on this point over here. But as you can see, it's still all good. Also the seam seal around it, it's still intact. We haven't experienced any leak whatsoever inside, so that's quite a good thing. And that's it on the outside. And next, let's just check how it is inside. the zip. You see here, the zipper still runs very smoothly. There's no problem whatsoever. It never snags. I never had any problem with the zipper. Everything still looks very good inside. And also the inner tent is still intact. There's no hole. Also on the mosquito net, even though it looks quite fragile because it's super thin, but we never had any problem with it. There's no hole, and all the insects still stay outside, so that's a good thing. Also the zipper over here, it still runs smoothly. We never really had any problem with it. Also, let's check it out how it is inside. Well, everywhere around the nets are still okay, and the floor of the tent, it's also still fine. It's only, what can I say, it's still intact. There's no hole, even though we never really used any covering underneath the tent floor. We only used the covering for one night because we slept on a really rocky surface, but other than that, whether we sleep on a grass field or just on a normal soil or somewhere in the forest, we never used the floor covering, and it's still okay. It didn't have any damage. And also on the corner of the tent over there, the seam seal still good. Never had any leak over there. No problem. Even though this part is also quite under a lot of stress because it's a stress all the way, but still good. I guess that's the state of the outer tent and the inner tent. We've used it for 100 days, as we've said, and we had quite a lot of rain, quite a lot of storm, and this tent withstood everything. And I think this is quite good for the money that we paid, around 140 euros. We could use it for at least 100 days, and hopefully it will last for another 100 or even longer. So now let's talk about what I like and what I don't like about this tent after using it for 100 days. Let's first start with what I like. Well, obviously this tent is very lightweight. It's super light. It's only 1.25 kilograms, so it's really easy to carry everywhere during your hiking or camping trip. So that's a really big plus. And secondly, it's very easy to put up and also to break down, because if I have to, I can do it in under 3 minutes actually. And because the inner tent and the outer tent are already attached to each other, I can put it up easily even during windy or rainy days, and I can still keep the inner tent relatively dry, because the outer tent is always protecting the inner tent from direct water from the rain. But when the situation calls, I can actually just easily disattach the inner tent and the outer tent, because they are only these two tents are only coupled inside with some very some hooks that are very easy to put together or just disattach. So that's really easy. And what I don't like about this tent, well, the biggest issue that we have is actually the condensation, because in many days in the morning, then we will wake up with so much water inside the inner tent, actually on the roof of the inner tent, and that's especially problematic, especially on the top part over here, because the inner tent and the outer tent are directly rubbing against each other. And it's probably easier if we look at it from the inside. So this part over here, as you can see, the inner tent is directly touching the roof of the outer tent over there. So if there's any condensation forming on the outer tent, so this condensation can actually just drip onto the inner tent, and sometimes when you shake the tent a little bit too much, or if there's some wind shaking the tent, then you can have these water droplets going into the inner tent, and you can have some splash inside or some dampness. I guess that's one improvement to be made on the next model. And one minor thing that I don't really like as well is that this rope fastener over here, sometimes it can slip. And for example, that I usually fasten it during the evening before going before going to sleep, but then I will wake up in the morning finding that it's a little bit loose already. So in the morning I have to refasten it again. But I guess that's just a minor discomfort, and it's not really causing any problem. Well, what can I say? This tent is overall is really well made, and I don't have any problem with it, and recommended to be have. So that was our 100 days review of our Aliexpress 3F UL ultralight 2-person tent, and this is very good quality tent. Even though it's only cost us 140 euros, we could use it without any problem for this 100 days, and it's highly recommended. So we'll see you in the next video, and of course don't forget to subscribe.